Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. This side Priya Bhatia, and in this specific video, we will be starting our journey with respect to the implementation part of gradient boosting. I hope that till so far you are having appropriate knowledge about how the mathematical intuition of this algorithm works. Whether we are talking about regression specific scenario where our target is to predict the continuous numbers, or it's a you can say classification specific scenario where we have separate classes which we're supposed to predict. So what we will do is today I'll take some open source data itself via from sklearn, and I'll just try to showcase you that how with the help of sklearn what kind of functions we have to call in order to get the predictions done. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So now let's try to go for step by step. As you know that this gradient boosting is done for the classification as well as regression task, and we have seen a lot depth behind the mathematical intuition for the same. So now what I will do is, as I told you in the intro part of this video, we will try to take from sklearn itself the data set, and we will try to implement both of the classifier as well as regressor in this specific part. So what I will do is, as a very first part, I'll try to load the iris specific data set, and let's see how that data looks like in the very first go. And then we will observe that what kind of classifier or regressor we have to apply. So let's get started. Here you can see, right, let's try to first of all import all the required frameworks. So what I will do here is I will try to import all the, you can say, required frameworks here first of all. So once I will import that, definitely it will be NumPy as NP. It will be pandas, matplotlib and seaborn. I think this much is fine. But apart from this, as we are taking a data from sklearn itself, so we have to import from sklearn.learn.datasets. I will definitely import the iris data. So I will say load underscore iris. Okay. Apart from this, I will also try to showcase you the data of load Boston for the regression per se. So what I will do is I will try to load one more data set which is of Boston data, if it is available. Yes, it is available. So let's try to import that. Train test split is required or not, we will see at the end of the day. But let it be. This linear regression anyhow we are not applying. So we have imported each and every framework which is required for now. If in future we feel that there is a requirement of few more modules, we will in that scenario import that. But for now, I think it's okay. Now, once it is done, where is the issue? Let me try to check it out. It is showcasing in the Boston data. Let me try to first of all load for the iris one, and let's check. Boston one we will check it later, okay? Because in the very first part we're just focusing on the iris one, so we will see later on. Okay. Now this is done. What is the next step? Obviously we have to load the specific data. So let me try to load the data. So we will be having load underscore iris, and once it is done, now if I'll just try to print this data, you will be able to see the complete analysis of the specific data. So here you can see we will be having an array in which we will be having 1, 2, 3, somehow 4 features which we can see. Okay, makes sense. In this specific case, you can see what are those features indicating, and each and every feature has its name which is available here. I am not sure how much it is visible, but if you will try to write the same code in your collab file, you will be able to see that this array contains setosa, versicolor, virginica, all these are the features that we have. And here you can see number of instances are 150 because it's a very basic data set. Number of attributes, you can see it's 4 numeric attributes are there, as we have already seen. Sepal length, sepal width, petal length and petal width. So okay, all these things are fine. Let me now try to do one thing. Let me try to split my data into independent and target features that we have. For that, what we can do, we can consider the independent features as X here, and the target feature is defined by Y in this case. So what I can do is I can say X comma Y, which is equals to iris dot data, and Y is iris dot target. But here I think because our data name is data itself, not iris, so I'll take it as data itself, just for the clarity purpose. So data.target, because I have defined in this data variable itself. So if you will define an iris variable, you can take it iris also. Now, once this is done, let me do one more thing. Yes, I'll try to print both of the values of x and y to just check it out how this looks like. Now, one thing which you will be able to observe, the target values that we have, which is y, I hope you can see it very clearly. It's a classification problem, right? Where the task is to predict whether it belongs to class 0 or 1 or 2. So it clearly indicates that we have to somehow, given these 3 or 4 set of numeric features, makes the prediction, or our model, what we want at the end of the day makes the prediction that on which particular class it belongs to, right? That's the main goal which we want to implement. So I hope with this you get the clarity that we have to imply gradient boosting classifier here, right? So now to implement that, I think we have not imported the gradient boosting classifier in the above part. So let me try to first of all import from where it is available. You all know it's a part of an ensemble technique, these boosting algorithms. So definitely we will call ensemble. And from that, what we will do is we will simply import what? We will import gradient boosting classifier. Yes, that's what we want to import. And once it is done, maybe you can call a model and you can fit your x and y on top of that model. Now, one thing which you will have to make sure that here I am using a default parameters. When I'm saying default parameters, I'm not doing any hyperparameter tuning, means it will by default take the learning rate as 0.1. It will by default take the number of estimators as 100. It will by default take this as the minimum sample split, minimum sample sleeve, maximum depth, and so on. So whatever be the values you can see in these parameters, all these values it will take as by default, right? So this is the overall idea. So now what we can do is, what we are doing here is we are doing data modeling in other words, right? Where we are trying to train our model with the help of a gradient boosting classifier. So let's try to fit this model, and once this part is done, I am giving you as a task. The task is to you can perform hyperparameter tuning via grid search CV or randomized search CV, and just compare the performance of this model which I am creating just now versus the model created after hyperparameter tuning. Okay, so what I want from you at the end of the day, that you can compare the performance of the two models. One model which I am currently creating, which I will also deliver to you. Another model which I want you to create, where you will try to tune the hyperparameters via grid search CV, randomized search CV, and whichever model you feel is having a better performance, you can just compare it and make it as a conclusion. Okay, but for now I am moving to the next stage where I will do the data prediction. So model prediction we will do as the next outlying part, model prediction. And once we will do this, so what will happen is you can say y_pred, and in this case we will say model.predict, and inside this we can mention what we want is x_test. And finally, what we can do is we can just simply predict the predictions that we are getting here. One thing that's why, okay, so we don't have the prediction set. So let's try to do the prediction for X data that we have. So it is nothing but 0011, because it's a very small data containing only, I think 150 records were there. So that is why I have not done that train test split. So what you can do is, maybe when we will be having a bigger data, obviously that's a part of a pipeline, you all know, right? So in that case, maybe that will provide you a better answer, that what is the kind of accuracy or the performance metric which you are getting in this specific part. But here what I'm trying to do here is, if you want, we can do a data splitting also, but the records are very, very less. Still, it is not giving us a great indication anyhow. Let me try to check how many number of instances we have. Maybe it should be mentioned here. Yeah, number of instances are 150. So let's try to do a split also. It doesn't matter much anyhow, but let's try to do a split also. So what will happen, we will take x train, x test, y train, y test. And let's do a default configuration of test size as 0.2. And again, if we will try to train this model, because I just want to see the accuracy score on the test set, not on the complete set, because definitely it would be better only. So let's try to fit the training set now, and let's try to check the prediction only for the test set that we are getting. Okay. And once it is done, now we will be having a predictions. Now let's try to check the accuracy score. So that is where the next task, which is a model evaluation task, comes into picture, where what we have to do is we have to evaluate the accuracy score. So what we can do is we can say accuracy is equal to accuracy underscore score. And here what we can do is we can just pass the y test and the y pred, which we are getting. And finally, we can define the accuracy. We can also take it as a confusion metric in the classification report. One thing is, I think you can see the error is coming up because we have not imported from sklearn.metrics all these things. We are directly using those functions. I think we need to require to import accuracy score, confusion metrics, and classification report, whatever we want to look for. And now if we will run, I think we will be able to get better numbers. And you can see very clearly that somehow this model is highly overfitted. Why? Because accuracy is almost 100%, which is not a feasible scenario here. The only reason might be because, as I told you, that this record size is very, very less, and when we are doing a splitting also, it might be the case that data leakage is also happening internally. So that is the main reason. But I hope that you got the clarity that how basically we can implement gradient boosting classifier all in all. What we can do is we can do one more thing. Maybe I'll try to, if I'll do the split again and run this thing again, let's see what is the value we are getting. Again, it is 0.1. Maybe if you will try to change this random state from 42 to maybe some other number, might be you will be able to get a change in the values or in the accuracy number. But anyhow, that is the way overall to conclude that how basically we will be able to perform the implementation of gradient boosting classifier. If the same thing you want to do for the regression specific scenario, the only difference which will happen is that our data problem will get changed. So what I can do is, for now, I have done the data modeling of gradient boosting classifier, right? And I have showcased you the same thing, gradient boosting classifier. If I just want to showcase you the data modeling for the regressor task, so how basically we can do, so it is for data, so you can say gradient boosting regressor. So in this case, what we will do is we can again try to import the you can say model, which is sklearn.ensemble. But before that, let's try to first of all import the data set. So from sklearn.datasets, we can simply do one thing. We can simply import what? Load and underscore Boston. And once it is done, we can just try to load the data, Boston data, right? And let's try to see first of all how this data again looks like. Let's try to focus on here. So there is some issue, might be this data is available or not available. Let's try to see what it is showcasing. Load Boston has been removed from scikit-learn since version 1.2. Okay, it means that this data set is not available. Maybe let's try to import some other data set. Is there any data of house price prediction? Yeah, fetch California something. Yeah, fetch California housing. Let's try to see how this data looks like. Maybe let's try to load that specific data. This is fine. Let's try to import this. And now what we can do is we need to load this data. So what we can say is housing data set that we have, which is equals to load underscore, not this one, this one, California housing. Let's try to see how this data looks like. It is showcasing some sort of error. So if I'll just do fetch underscore California underscore housing, and then maybe we will try to take the data and the target. Let's see now how will it looks like. And yes, it will be available with us. Now again, what we can do is we can do data splitting, where we are trying to split the data, where we are trying to split the data into, you can say, independent features and target values. So what we can do is we will be having X train, we will be having X test, Y train, Y test. Split will be done. And once it is done, what we can do is we can apply data modeling here. So what we can do in data modeling, we can apply a gradient boosting regressor. So what we can do is we can say model underscore rig, where we can apply gradient boosting regressor. And afterwards, what we can do is we can just fit this model on the training set that we have. Now, one thing which I just want to showcase you before we will move ahead, I just forget to showcase you why we are talking about regressor here. So if you will just see the training set that we have in y underscore train, one thing which you will observe, it's a continuous number. It's kind of a house price prediction that we have done in our very initial modules, right? So that is the main reason that why we are opting for gradient boosting regressor in this specific scenario, okay? Now again, one thing which you will be able to observe, the internal parameters which I am using to implement this specific algorithm is same only, means it's a default parameter. So same thing you have to do for regressor part as well. Just do one thing after this session. Once you watch that, try to compare the performance of this regressor also with the you can say hyperparameter tuning optimal parameters via grid search CV or randomized search CV, right? Now once you fit this model on the training set, what you're supposed to do after that is, let's try to then compare the performance. So maybe what we can do is, let's first of all train this model, and then we will check this specific thing on the testing set. How will it looks like? Y pred regressor, and we will just try to say model underscore regressor. Inside that, what we can do is we can predict, and we can just print y underscore pred underscore reg. And once you run this, you will be able to see the outcome available here, starting from 0.5 till 1.96. The important thing which we have to see is the performance. So that is where the last step came into picture, which is the model evaluation. So how can we evaluate this model? What we can do here is maybe we can just call MSC, which is equals to mean underscore squared underscore error. Yeah, mean squared error. So what we can do, we can just pass this one, and we can just print what is the mean squared error we will be able to get. So here you can see the error is also very, very low. And in regression specific problems, that's a good thing, that what we want at the end of the day is the lower the value of MSE, the better the model could be. And here one thing you will be able to observe, apart from doing an evaluation via MSE, you can go for R square, you can go for adjusted R square and compare the performance of each and every evaluation metric that we have. So this is the overall idea behind how can we do the implementation of gradient boosting algorithm all in all. Now, one thing which you have to do, as I told you, is to implement your own code work on top of this by applying a hyperparameter tuning on whatever things we have learned so far. I hope that things are pretty much easy for you all, because now you already have gained the understanding of how the things are working internally. So these things are very, very easy to implement, right? So now I hope that you are fully equipped with the knowledge of gradient boosting algorithm. With this, let's end this specific module of machine learning. And now in the upcoming module, we will deep dive into XGBoost algorithm. It's one of the very widely used algorithm in the industries because it's so powerful as comparable to what algorithms we have covered up so far in a boosting module, whether it's a ADA boost or gradient boosting. How it is so powerful, what things are extra there inside XGBoost. We will deep dive in that specific module itself. So please stay tuned and don't skip the upcoming part of the videos in the XGBoost, because that is one of the most important algorithm which is very, very frequently used in almost all the industries wherever people are trying to, use the machine learning algorithms. So bye-bye everyone, and happy learning to all.